So I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you all, and you'll be hearing from colleagues across the program and students themselves. So here is our program team, and you'll be hearing from each of us. Unfortunately, Dr. Debbie Rainey's sent her apologies, so I'll be talking a little bit about the adult field. But we have Sonia, we have Derek, and we also have Pauline, who also works on the mental health field. We have Lynn and myself here. So any questions that you have, if you could put them in the chat, and then colleagues will respond to you in the chat as appropriate as we go through the presentation. So the purpose of today is really just to give you an overview of the program and also how to apply. So here is just a very quick overview of the fact that this is a 2-year program. You undertake 2 years of full-time study, and then you are eligible to register with the Nursing Midwifery Council as a registered nurse at the end of those 2 years. So we have a range of shared modules as well as field-specific modules, whether you're coming on to children and young people, learning disability, mental health, or adult. And each of our modules are interspersed by practice placements, and your practice placement is full-time, so it's 36 hours with different shifts across the course of the week. There's lots of different practice opportunities, and you also get lots of opportunities to work in an interprofessional way, both within university and out in placement. And as you can see, we have quite a lot to cover in year 1, but in year 2, it's sort of less, it's very much more around complexity, building on your skills, and also undertaking your dissertation, which is a 15,000-word dissertation as for all masters. So I'm going to hand you over now to Lynn, who's our learning disability field lead, to talk a little bit about what it's like being a learning disability nurse and what you can expect on the program. Over to you, Lynn.
Thanks, Christine. So good afternoon. My name is Lynn Marsh, and I am a registered nurse in learning disability and a senior lecturer here in the School of Nursing and Midwifery as well. So Christine, would you move on to the next slide, or can I do it? Actually, yeah, thanks. So what is beautiful about learning disability nursing is that you are working with people from very premature babies to across the lifespan to older adults. And much of our work is working with families, particularly when they're in the child range of ages. So we work with families. Our goal of care is to promote independence. Not all of the people with an intellectual disability will have a health need, but some of them may have health needs. But it is about improving quality of life, making sure that people can live as independently as possible, whether it's at home or in the community, and that they will have a rich and fulfilling life, the same as their peers in the general population. And we work from a biopsychosocial model of disability. So it's not just all about the health, it's about the education, it's about social inclusion, it's about advocacy, and it is a fantastic program of studies and a registration. So we move on again, Christine, thank you. So it really is a rewarding, exciting career. It's very fulfilling. And I think all nursing programs, to be fair, are very fulfilling, not just learning disability nursing, but I'm here from a learning disability nursing perspective. And we have great retention. We have lovely groups of students overall in our programs. We have a range between 35 and 50 students in the undergraduate courses, and there's a great sense of family and support with the students as well. And the next slide then will show the career opportunities. Across learning disability nursing, there is significant career opportunities for registered nurses. And we work in anything from forensics, community nursing. We're not always hospital based, but we do work in hospitals as well. And palliative and end of life care, and not just for the older adults, for children as well who may have life limiting conditions. And education obviously would be a big focus in our school. Now, I think the better person to speak about learning disability nursing is always from a student perspective. So I'm going to hand over to Maria, who is going to give you her experiences of being a second year learning disability student nurse on our program of studies. So Maria.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Maria, and like Glenn said, I'm a second year student within the school. The program like within Queen's is definitely like excellent. Like you do get a lot of support. Um, like from personal tutors, like all the lecturers, like, and like they have such a great like range of knowledge and experience within the field. Like I get asked all the time, like, why learn disability? Like my answer is quite simple. Like I want to be there for that mom, dad, care, and most importantly, like the person living with the complex health needs. It's about like giving a voice to those people like who are easily overlooked in society. And also like helping other colleagues, like peers within different branches of nursing, like uphold their rights and understand like the importance of um what was I saying there? Sorry. Uphold the rights of people with learning disabilities, because like I said, they are easily overlooked like as people in general, like within the society. Like I see the care like I provide as a privilege. So yeah, becoming a learning disability nurse means that you'll be trained specifically like to look after people within and care for somebody with a learning disability. The opportunities are unlimited. Like you can work within any sort of sector, like Lynn's saying, like it's across the lifespan. So working with people like from their child right up until end of life care when they're older, and like it is transferable, so you're able to work with people like with mental health problems, children, young people, older people with dementia, which is something like that is really interesting. Like also sorry, I've got like a few cue cards here. I find it like a privilege, and it's really rewarding. Like it's not about just like helping the person with their health needs. It's focusing on like, you know, being like letting that person reach their full potential and not just focusing on making them better. So like it is really rewarding, like when you're able to like even basic like communication, which is can be quite like overlooked, like, and seen as something that's so simple, like being able to like help our service users and help them express their needs in that way, like it is great. Yeah, I love it, like, and it's something that like before the program I never even really thought about, but now that I'm doing it, like it's great, like, and I love it.
And we're delighted to have you here as well, Maria.
Thank
So
you.
fantastic. Thank you, Maria.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Maria. And it's always great just to hear what it's like from a student perspective. So brilliant. So thanks so much for that. And thanks so much, Lynn. So I'm going to hand you over now to Sonia Clark, who is our field lead for children and young people.
Hello, you're all very welcome. So yes, I'm Sonia Clark. I'm a senior lecturer within the school, and I'm a registered children's nurse, and I am very passionate about children and young people's nursing. So if you just want to move on to the next slide. So why should you do children and young people's nursing? Well, I very much believe and proactive around that children should be looked after by registered children's nurses, and they're not many adults. So when you would come into children and young people's nursing as a career pathway, you will be looking from birth until 18 and sometimes 19. There is an overlap with learning disability, because within children's nursing we also look after children with life-limiting and complex needs. We also look after them obviously in their own home within the community environment. We also support them when they're discharged home, and we also look after them very much in acute setting. For surgery, medical reasons. And one of the differences I think we do is we very much see that child as a person, an individual. They're very much part of the planning of care. We value their parents and their carers and their guardians' input as well, but ultimately our focus is on that child and young person and trying to meet their needs and advocating for them. And it is very much around trying to make that difference. And we can, just holding that hand, talking to a child, making sure that they feel equal does make a big difference to children. And I've actually done research out in the children's hospital to actually find out what children want and what children's nurses want. So we do support the voice of the child and their families and their matters as their views do matter. Also very much around a professional role, change agent, we like to challenge. So for example, I would try and engage the students and explain of things I would do at a national level around about the role of children's nursing. I do feel there's an excellent career pathway. I'm an example of that. In that you can be a registered nurse, you can be a specialist nurse, you can be a community nurse, you can get into research, or you can come into education as we have all done. And there is job security. There's a really good scope. The trusts out there very much wait for our students to register, waiting to give them posts. So it is a really good career pathway, which I totally love. The book you can see there is the first edition of one of the core texts. It's actually that we use, that's been co-edited by myself and other children's lecturers. The second edition, that book now will be coming out in August. So we're very prolific around how we develop our scholarly resources that would actually be used to underpin the programme. I mean, today we have got Ellen, who's a first year student, who can talk about some of the scenarios. She can explain. We would do simulation. So these are other students, and this is the kind of scenarios, and we use high fidelity simulation. And Ellen's had opportunity already to do this twice. So I'll let Ellen maybe speak more about her experiences of the programme to date.
Hi, my name is Ellen, the first year GEM student. I have to say that I absolutely love the programme. So I really do love being a student nurse. The resources in Queen's are just phenomenal. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. So it is the simulation suite. It really does look like a ward. So you really have an experience of what you're going into for placement. The simulation babies, they do look a bit weird, but they are so accurate. You can see like breathing rate, heart rate, they give it, like they can make it vomit. It's amazing. Like it's things that you have to be prepared for whenever you're going out into practice. And I've completed one clinical placement now. So I was out in the wards, and the feeling of just being around people all the time, you just love it. So you do, and the kids are there and like they're scared and they're sick, and really your job as as a children's nurse is to just help keep them calm, help make them feel better. And it's a really, really rewarding career. But the support of Queen's is phenomenal. Like I know whenever I was out on placement, I was able to like contact the likes of Sonia and Susie and other lecturers if I had any questions. And it's really nice to know that that support is always on hand. You know, they always say like, we do not have like strict office hours, like you can contact them anytime. And I know like with a lot of assignments and everything, like the work can seem heavy, but the support you have really balances it out. So it does, but yeah, I really love it, and I really would recommend it to everybody.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thanks, Sonia, and thanks, Ellen, so much. So a real advocate, I think, for children and young people in nursing. So thanks so much for that. So I'm going to hand over to Derek and Nina, who's come along to talk about her experience on the mental health program. Over to you, Derek.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's the back of my head. And what I'm actually doing there is simulating some EMDR, which I comment to students all about. So as I've been a mental health nurse 38 years last month, and I'm still practicing my clinical skills and trying to teach and to research. So just as everyone else said, there's a wide diversity within mental health. Again, it was said earlier on there about learning disability. It is a field of nursing that covers from the cradle to the grave. So in the course itself, you'll develop your skills, values, and your knowledge to start your journey into the world of mental health care. And for me, the values is so very important. If the values are right, the rest will follow. As I say, it's a lifespan approach and very sought after across Northern Ireland, the UK, and indeed the globe. This year alone, we've had people in from Australia to talk to the students. Not that we want them to go, but they're certainly very sought after, and have had other approaches too. So there's any amount of work out there and development opportunities if you choose the field of mental health nursing. Talking to a young person there recently, and she was interested in mental health nursing, but an adult nurse had said to her, no, there's not as many opportunities in mental health, but that's not true. There really is. So we've got everything there from opportunities in CAMS, that's child and adolescent mental health care. Adult care, we have lots of mental health nurses now employed in those big general hospitals. In Liaison, a good friend of mine works up in Antrim area, and anyone coming into Antrim area hospital who's issues with their mood or suicide, dementia, whatever, they will all be seen and assessed and helped to guide it through the experience there. With crisis teams, alcohol and drug teams, and it goes on and on. Forensic issues, mental health care is right across all aspects of health and social care. We've absolutely opportunities in education. We're always encouraging students to come back to us to continue their education, then maybe for clinical reasons in relation to developing CBT, developing working with people with eating disorders or whatever, but also research. And at the minute, I have a student off, fingers crossed for him. He's having his interview today, and he could be doing his PhD with us in a few months' time. But obviously, there's opportunities in management and policy. Within the school itself, we have opportunities in the world of cognitive behavioural psychotherapy, as the EMDR, that's my patch, as well as we're developing new modules and courses at master's level. Is that my next slide? Oh, and there is a
So
number
to Nina.
yeah, I'm going to a number of opportunities to develop both clinically and professionally. So I'll hand it over to Nina, who's one of our GEM students.
So yes, joining mental health definitely was one of the better decisions I have made in my young age. But yeah, I've loved every minute of it, and a lot of the learning you will do will be in placement. So I've done one placement so far, and I'm due to go out again in a couple of weeks' time. Mental health is such a vast area. As you say, it can go from children right up to into the elderly. And I have found so many opportunities to do with both my parents also being mental health nurses as well, graduated from Queen's back in the 80s, and it is so much developed from since then even till now in a relatively short period of time because they're not that old. But yeah, and there are all these new developments with different apps and stuff that they're doing for mental health to help people manage their condition. Like there's so many, and I've loved every minute of it, and if you join us, you definitely will love every minute of it too.
Thanks so much, Nina, and thanks so much, Derek. So that gives you a really good feel for what it's like being a student mental health nurse on the program. So we'll move on to adults. So from an adult perspective, we care for people as young as 16, but primarily from 18 through to older age. And so this is it's a profession based on the principle of care. So it's quite important that you come in with this caring and compassionate approach. Empathy is a really important attribute that goes across all of our fields. And so really the whole purpose of adult nursing is really to use human and clinical skills to respond to other people in needs. And quite often we're seeing people at their most vulnerable. So advocacy is also a very important element across all of our fields, and you'll look at that with adult nursing in particular to ensure that those whose voice are not always heard know that they matter. And you can develop and deliver clinical expertise, and there are careers as specialist nurses across all the specialisms that you can think of, whether or not you're looking at different areas of practice such as cardiac, respiratory, orthopedics, cancer care, as well as, whether or not you want to be based in a hospital, whether or not you'd like to work in the community. There's also, we think that coming onto the graduate entry master's programs, you will have accelerated opportunities for leadership, but we definitely support you in how you develop your leadership skills right from the beginning. Also, there's opportunities in research. We provide opportunities within the program to engage with research teams if you're interested in research. And there's also opportunities in education, as Sonia has talked about. But mostly it's really around job satisfaction, that it's a career that enables you to make a difference to people's lives. And, people themselves really value nurses. So it's one thing that you will very rarely be out of a job, no matter where you live in the world or whatever your age. So over to our adult students now, being a GEM student. So thanks, Sarah and Mary Elizabeth, for coming along, and I'm just going to hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Christine. I'd just like to echo what our fellow students have said as well about the great support that there is, no matter what field that you do apply for. Being a GEM student, we do all mix as well. So you are mixing with your children's and your mental health and your learning disabilities, and it's a great cohort to have that support as well. So being an adult GEM student, support has been phenomenal from day one. You really do feel the support straight away. The tutors know you, they make themselves available. There's no question ever that's not answered, that's never dismissed. It's always very positive experience. And as the fellow students talked about the simulation, the children's, the adults, it's unreal. It really is. It gives you a great setup for practice. You're getting to see the monitors, you're getting to see blood pressure, you're getting to see respiration rates, all the things that you will be doing on the wards and your placements. So you are supported practically as well as the theory end of it. Coming from different backgrounds, coming onto the GEMS programme, you'll already have completed a degree. So you're used to the theory based, you're used to deadlines, you're used to assignments. The practical end then is something new. Personally, it was something new for me coming on, and I found it great support straight away. Any questions that we had, demonstrations, we have simulations as part of the course, and it was really enjoyable experiences because it was first time for a lot of us. So from that point of view, don't be afraid if you're coming from caring point of view, if you're coming from different backgrounds. Everybody is starting off together, and it's very much a together programme, and we all support each other.
Thanks, Mary Elizabeth. Sarah, do you want to talk about your practice experience?
I don't really know if I've anything more to say. But yeah, basically the support, our practice was amazing. I come from as far away I think you can get from nursing, it's just construction. So I am from playing with bricks and mortar, working a little bit of communities into this, and it has been just amazing. The support, you know, coming in, your first placement, I thought, oh God, they're going to expect so much more from us because we're GEMS. And actually, you know, the way it's pitched in the beginning, your placement is set so that there's nothing more expected of you. If you want to push it, you can push it, which was great in later weeks, but it allowed you just to find the flow of a hospital in that environment where you maybe never worked before. So placement was amazing. I really enjoyed that, but definitely the practicals in uni set us up for that because it's like a mini ward. I think someone's already said that. So it wasn't like a total shock to the system when you arrived in, but you got a chance to practice and make silly mistakes. And I swear all of us had purple hands the days we did blood pressure the first time because we were all, well,
circulation was cut off.
Yeah, a little bit. So you get, but everyone's there together and everyone's there. The support from each other is great, and the support from the tutors is great. And I think that's what makes this, you know, even though it's intense, but it's good intense because everyone's there in the same boat, if that makes sense.
Thanks, Sarah, and thanks, Mary Elizabeth. That's brilliant. So that really gives us a really. So I think now what you've had really from the presentation so far is really a good overview of the 4 fields of nursing that we offer here on the Graduate Entry Masters, and really what it's like being a student on the program. So you've heard that there's lots of support and lots of good opportunities in terms of learning. It is going to be a challenging program, but really worth it in that you come out at the end of your 2 years with a professional registration. So what makes a good application? It's really important that you actually go onto the direct application portal and you download the portfolio pro forma. So all of our applications our application is set because we actually have to review it against the Nursing and Midwifery Code of Conduct and the Nursing Midwifery Proficiency. So we have written the portfolio in a way that enables you to demonstrate to us that you have the attributes that will suit you for a nursing profession in nursing. So the most thing, you know, really overall, you really need to think about how you demonstrate attributes required to be a nurse. So what is the experience that you've had to date? It doesn't have to be in nursing. It doesn't have to be in healthcare. It can be your own personal experience. You may have cared for a relative, but equally you've worked with people and you've had to communicate with people irrespective of your experience that you're coming in with. And all of that experience is really valuable when you come onto this program. And we look to build on your experience, not just give you lots of information, but really enable you to work with experience that you've got in order to develop further into nursing. So it's really important that you provide clear and concise examples. And so we're looking for those examples. And a really important thing is please proofread your application. And sometimes you get very close to an application. You can't always see the mistakes that you make. So get somebody else to read it before you actually submit it. So the first section is about the NMC code. So it gives you 4 sections based on the code of conduct for the Nursing Midwifery Council. You need to identify examples of how you achieve each section using either your personal or direct caring experience, 250 words per sections, and we tend to score each of the sections so we can just see how well you're doing. So Sarah, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience? Because you actually used, different experience to healthcare for this part of the application.
Yeah, so I worked health promotion mostly for communities and sort of project coordination. So what I was doing, I was working with people and communication, but the NMC code is so concise and precise that you can see where exactly, like communication, are you good at it? Yeah, no. And they are able to just put that a little bit of an example in and use the code so carefully. Like, I find it really easy to do the application. It seems daunting, but actually when you go into the code, because it's so like, this is what we're looking for, it's very easy then to pull your experience, if it's not directly nursing, like talking to people and talking to groups or doing anything like that, across into it. So, because I was a bit panicked when I thought first, because I wasn't, well, what I thought coming from the right background. But then there's people in our year from HR, from marketing, from IT. So lots of people doing lots of different things. And it's about, can you communicate? Can you organize yourself? Can you, yeah. So I have to say, it's not so bad when you get into it. And,
Take your time with it, I think.
yeah, it did take your time, read it, and sit with it.
Sit with it,
Sit with it.
Yeah.
Because it's just a little bit more about, who are you and what can you bring to the table, rather than what can you not, I suppose.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Sarah. That's lovely. So that brings us on to the second part of the portfolio, which is about the standards of proficiency for all fields of nursing. So again, you may be applying for more than one field of nursing, but you only have to put in one portfolio, because our standards of proficiency map across all of our fields of nursing. So here we are asking you to actually go into the link to the proficiency for the fields of nursing, and we're not actually asking you to complete all of these standards, because our program has been mapped to these standards. So by the end of the program, you will have achieved all of these standards of proficiency. But what we're just looking for is, what have you done so far? What has your experience brought you in terms of your ability to be able to undertake the elements that we're looking at. So such as things like health promotion, looking after yourself, making sure that, you are, you care for yourself as well as that you can care for others. So we're asking that you identify 2 areas in each standard where you've got experience. So again, you choose which ones you have experience for, and you can provide examples of how you achieve these standards using your direct care experience if you have direct care experience. But you must complete all sections, and it's really important that all sections are completed. If you do submit something where sections are not completed, it will be sent back to you for completion. Does anyone want to give some examples of how you completed this section? I'm going to put you all on the spot now as students. Ellen, do you want to come in on this one? Oops, no. You're
About
muted.
the portfolio?
Yeah.
The portfolio, I think, is just, sorry, so I'm in a group of students here. And the portfolio, I think, is just taking your time with everything. So it is like, give yourself I think it took me about a week to do it really slowly. So it did like fill in all the proficiencies. I think I read the code about 100 times. Like, I could tell you half of things on it. So I could, but pull in your experience just wherever you can. But yeah, it's not too bad. It looks really daunting, but it is okay in the end. Just take your time with it and like ask other people to read it. Like, don't be stressing about it. It looks worse than it is. And by the end of it, you really feel like you are qualified for the course. It makes you feel better about it as well.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Ellen. That's fabulous. Okay. And then the next section is Annex A. So this is a focus on communication skills, because in nursing, irrespective of the fields you're going to be coming into, communication is paramount. And so what we're actually asking for is just 50 words per section, is how do you achieve this skill with a person? Don't repeat what's in the first column. The first column is telling you what we are looking for, but you have to give us an example of how you've achieved that. And again, it's really important to complete all sections. So I'm actually going to ask Nina for this one. So sorry, Nina, I know I didn't prep you for this, but what are the sort of things that people should be writing about in terms of communication skills?
In my last degree, I actually sat down and did this with my careers advisor over there. So she helped me do the portfolio, but things simple things. Like even an example of mine for communication was actually to do with my job and simply helping people communicate. So a woman couldn't speak verbally. So I even used the example that, you know, the speech and language therapist left her a picture chart that she could point to. So even using simple examples like that, and through even general day-to-day life, you don't realize until you're thinking about it how many examples you could come up with until you're really sitting down to think about it. And you can think of so many. See, once you start thinking about it, you will have loads to examples for each section. It's amazing.
Thanks, Nina. Yes, and I think that's a really good point, is actually once you start thinking about what it is that you do, these ideas really do come from you, do come to you. So it is quite helpful to just really think about, how do I communicate with people? And it could be with anybody. It could be in any job that you do. It could actually be, from something that you've done on your previous degree. So it's just to demonstrate to us that you actually understand the importance of communication. And then the final section is a reflection on an event. So this can be an event that either went very well for you or an event that didn't go well for you. It could be something personal or it could be something professional. And again, it doesn't have to be related to nursing or to healthcare. It can really be about a situation the way you helped somebody or you got involved in something. It could be something around a team event, but it's really around showing us that you can reflect on what it is that you do, and you can think through that critically. So that's the main reason we put the reflection in at the end, because reflective practice is an important part of nursing across the entire program. We'll be asking you to reflect when you're out in practice. We'll be asking you to reflect when you're actually in the classroom on different things that are going on. So we're just asking you to demonstrate to us that you have those reflective qualities. So that's really all it is. That's really everything from us at the moment. There are some dates for the diary for a September 2023 start. We will be doing early shortlisting on the 14th of March. So if you get your application in now, we will be looking at that and be in touch with you fairly soon. All interviews will be happening on the 3rd of April. The actual deadline, the application deadline is the 20th of March. Now, if you don't, we will then be offering those interviews on the 3rd of April. So keep those dates very clearly in your head for your applications. And we've really got a little bit of time now for any questions. There is one question in the chat. So again, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. But there was one question about whether or not a nursing background is necessary, or whether it would exclude people. So a nursing background is actually not necessary, because we have, this is actually for people that are coming in with other degrees other than nursing. Now, if you have a nursing degree from anywhere outside of Northern Ireland, you can come in and do a different field. Or we would recommend that you come in and do a different field of nursing, and that is quite okay. However, if you're actually from Northern Ireland and have already had a commissioned place on an undergraduate program, you're not eligible for this program, and that's really quite important as well. And somebody's just put in a question: what is the interview process like? So I'm going to ask the students to come in on what is the interview process like.
I think we've just had that conversation. Oh, sorry, Ellen. But we've just had that conversation between the two of us that we both thought it was actually a really nice process. And it kind of felt like we were being
a chat more than an interview.
It was a bit informal, and it was more like a chat. What do we think?
And explained really, really well. We had one of the lecturers, Barry, both of us, funny enough, and he really put it at ease at the start, explained. And it was really informative in the sense that we got a lot of information as well from him.
Yeah.
And so don't be scared of the interview. Definitely not. Don't let that be a put off.
No, it was like almost checking we are what we said we were.
That's
exactly right. Nina, did you want to come in as well?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same as Sarah as well. Like I had Derek for my interview, and really it was literally just seeing if we could articulate what we had already written in the profile in speech and our confidence, and you know, it was not crazy, or you do get nervous at the beginning of any interview, but really at the beginning that was all put to bed, and it was just like talking to people you already knew, so it was lovely.
Thanks. And Ellen, do you want to say something?
The interview process, it's not very daunting. The staff are lovely, so they really do guide you through. I think that whenever I did my interview, I talked through my portfolio quite a lot as well, and I drew examples from that. So it really is just checking like you're really excited about the course, and it gives you time to ask any questions as well at the end of it. So I found it like really, really useful.
That's brilliant. And there was a question about whether or not this is possible with a family. And can we just say, you know, pretty much 3/4 of our cohorts have families. And in fact, I think at one of our second years, Derek, who would normally come onto our webinars, has got 4 children. And she's still managing very, very well. Yeah. So a little bit more organization required, but everybody does manage very, very well. Oh dear. Natalia, sorry, I am sorry that there is a discrepancy between my slides and the portfolio. I would just follow with what the portfolio says. Yeah, you won't be, because there is a discrepancy, whether or not you put 250 words in or under 200, you won't be penalized for that because of the discrepancy. I apologize for that. If the document says 75 and you want to use 75, go for it. If you only need to use 50, just use 50. And again, as I said, there won't be there won't be a problem with that. The main reason we put the words in is because the very first year we didn't put a word count in, and some people wrote like pages and pages, which obviously made it very difficult for us to read. So this way, we're just asking you to be short and succinct. And really just put in the basics that you need. So yes, so please go with what's written in the portfolio. There is a bursary, and the fees are all paid. In terms of financial help, you don't qualify, because there is a bursary, you don't qualify for student loan. So if you have difficulties during the program, there is the student union who does provide financial support as well for emergencies. Sonia, do you want to take the next question around placement?
Yes, we try our best. I mean, we really, really do try our best to keep you to your home address. Unfortunately, for some of the smaller fields where we have to go across Northern Ireland, you may have to travel a bit further. There is a swap system that we have in place, and I'm sure Ellen would agree. We really try to work with you on all aspects of the programme around practice and the timetables, and you will have a wide range of placements. So for adults will generally go more the top part of Northern Ireland. So you will be in the Belfast Trust, and you will be in the Southern Trust, the Western Trust, and the Northern Trust they're ring fenced for University of Ulster. So we sort of have carved learning disability go across all of Northern Ireland, and I think mental health, Derek can probably tell me better about that. Derek, can you maybe just remind me about mental health?
For placements, Sonia?
Yeah.
Yeah, placements are non-zoned for mental health. So we've students right across Northern Ireland, literally from Enniskillen right up to Belfast to anywhere.
Yeah. So we do work with you, and we have a good relationship with our clinical allocations.
Yes, so Eunice, you need to let us know what your academic degree is. There is no subject area that is not acceptable for this program. The university does have rules in relation to what degrees are acceptable onto a master's program. So ordinary degrees, as an example, are not. It's really honours degrees that they're looking for. But if you're not sure, if you contact us, send us your degree, we can tell you if that fits or not, if you're not sure.
I might jump in. I was just wondering, I have done an undergraduate degree in psychology and I work in HR now. But I was thinking that maybe it's going to be too late for me to apply for 2023 because
No.
150 hours of healthcare. Like I was thinking of becoming a healthcare assistant and making up my hours that way. And so do you think it'd be too late for me starting from
No.
scratch?
It's
Is it
certainly
not?
not too late to start for September 2023. And I would be suggesting that you do apply. And then what we'd ask is that the 650 hours are completed by the 31st of August, but we can be flexible about that. Yeah. But if you've got, the most important thing is to get as many of those 650 hours as possible. And the reason why we ask 650 hours is because that gives you direct caring experience, which was equivalent to a first year student nurse. And that means that those hours count towards your final registration. The Nursing Midwifery Council have a requirement for how many hours you do in practice. And if we tried to put those 650 hours across your 2 years, you would all be on your knees and so exhausted by the end of it. And I think the students would all agree with me that if we tried to fit anything else into the program, it would be pretty impossible to achieve. So that's the reason why we ask for the 650 hours. It's what we call accredited prior learning. So you will have time if you start now.
And I have kind of worked with kids in care in the past. But like, is it mainly just like nursing home hospital experience that helps, or what kind of experience are you looking for? Let's just say I was planning on going for two, so the children's and the adults nursing.
Yeah, Sonia's just put in that you can actually have both adult and children's experience in the children's and young people's nursing. So if you're so we will accept experience for over the last 5 years. So if you've had that experience within the 5 years, you will definitely accept that in terms of working with children in care. Yes.
Okay.
On the and we would also accept that in the other fields as well.
And do you accept kind of like, I'm in the Republic of Ireland, so we have like Bluebird home care and stuff like that. That counts as well?
Yes. Yes, it would. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
No, pleasure. So if anyone is worried about the 650 hours, please do contact us directly and we can actually talk you through that. We can give you some examples. Definitely, if you're just thinking about starting, I would be going for, community and care home placements, hospital placements, if that's possible, simply because that is really, really excellent experience and will set you up very well for coming onto the program. So the weeks that you go on placement, it does vary across the 2 years, and it's because we have over 1,000 students out on placement at any given point in time. So your placements are fixed, your teaching weeks are fixed, your annual leave is fixed. So just to bear that in mind, that once you actually come onto the program, you will need to take your annual leave when it is timetabled. But very much your weeks on placement, sometimes will be 9 to 5, depending on if you're in a community placement or in hospital, it'll be 12-hour shifts that you may be working 3 shifts across the week. So it is flexible. I wouldn't be trying to do a part-time job alongside this full-time degree course. I'm not quite sure, Em, what the question is. We don't, if you're an Irish citizen, there is a residence requirement for this program in Northern Ireland or on the island of Ireland. So you do need to be a resident in either Northern Ireland or Ireland for 3 years in order to come onto the program. So yes, so if you've been here for 3 years, you're working as a HCA, it doesn't, I'm not sure that it, as long as you've got a valid visa to stay, I'm not sure that we check. But I mean, if you want to email me, I'll pass that query on to somebody who can help you. Yeah. Katerina, yes, we do expect you will need to have a part-time job while you're studying, but the most important thing is not to have fixed hours, because when you're in placement, you have to actually be you have to go to placement when placement is offered and is offering you the shifts. So you can study part-time, but it does need to fit around your studies. So you couldn't, for example, not attend class because you had a part-time job. There is a requirement by the NMC that you actually attend all classes. But you are, you know, in fact, I'm going to ask the students, how do you manage?
So far I've managed, I live at home with my parents, so I don't have rent or anything to worry about. So I think that alleviated a lot of the stress, because rent has skyrocketed. But yeah, I've still a part-time job. I actually just got a new job. So like a lot of those companies and agencies for like healthcare assistants, it's like nearly like a bank system. So you pick when you want to work, so you're not, it's like a 0-hour contract basically. For better words, I know some people don't like using that term because they think they're not going to get hours, but say healthcare assistant or any of those jobs like that, there will always be work for when you want and need it. And another good tip would be have a good set of savings behind you. The credit union, it's been good for anything. Like if your car broke down, you can't take a big wad of cash out of your current account, credit union, and have that wee pot of money, because it does really help as well. Those 2 tips have really saved me a couple of times already.
Thanks, Nina. That's really helpful. And in terms of referees, it's always good to have one who's a current or past employer. And then if you need one to have it as a character reference, that's fine. There is nothing preferable, as long as it's not a family member. Okay, well, I'm going to say thank you all very much for coming along today. Thank you particularly to the students for coming along and sharing your experiences. They, you know, as ever, you know, you guys are the star of the show. Thank you again to colleagues for being here today. And most of all, thanks to everybody for coming. So we look forward to your applications. If you're not sure about anything after this webinar, or if you're watching the video at the end and you have a question, please don't hesitate to contact us. We're all here ready to support you during the application process. So we all hope to see you very, very soon. Thanks very much. Bye for now.